Hello and very welcome to a new tutorial in a series of tutorials for the Lampy console. In this tutorial we will talk about Fixture Library basics. You will learn about the three parts of the Lampy's library: the factory library, user library and show library, and you will learn how to create your own library files. At first, let's open the show we created last time. If you do not have a show on the console yet, you can also access the setup menu by clicking on the gear button on the bottom. However, we'll do this from within our show file. Now open the side menu and open the setup menu by clicking on the gear button. Within the setup menu, change to the Fixture Library tab. Now you can already see that factory library is pre-selected. The other library types are user library and show library. What's the difference between them? The factory library is either delivered with each new software update of the Lampy console or can be updated separately. The factory library, however, is read-only. That means you cannot modify any of the fixtures that are contained in the factory library. However, you can copy a fixture into the user or show library. You may copy a fixture between libraries by selecting it and then clicking the magic wand button and clicking on Transfer Fixture. Now the console will ask you where you would like to copy this fixture. In this case, I'm going to select the user library and click on Transfer. The console asks us for confirmation. If we are sure we want to do this, we click on Yes. Now let's head over to the user library. Now you can see our freshly copied demo fixture. The user library is a library type that can be written and read by any show file on the console. It is advisable that new fixtures created by you are saved in the user library, because any library that is in the user library is available to any show on the console. To create or edit a fixture, click on the magic wand button and select either Add Fixture or Edit Fixture. You may also delete this fixture by clicking on the delete button, and you can import or export fixtures from or to a USB stick. Now let's have a look at the show library before we actually dig into creating our first new fixture. The show library contains all the fixture types that are used in the show file. Whenever you make a change in the user library, it is not automatically carried over to the show library. Newly created fixtures can also be directly created in the show library, or you can modify any of the fixtures that are contained in the show library. At first, let's start by having a look at this fixture file. To do so, click on the magic wand button and click on Edit Fixture. The library editor will be opened. The library editor itself consists of two pages. A general settings page where you can, if the fixture is in the user library, set the manufacturer, type and mode, as well as a short type. You can also define pan and tilt range using the encoders. Next, let's have a look at the channel list. The channel list contains a list of all functions of the fixture. You may add channels by clicking on the Add Channel button and specifying the number of channels you would like to add. You can delete channels by selecting the channel and clicking on Delete. You can also insert channels in between others. Or you can clear all the settings for a channel. To define whatever function a channel has, simply double click or long click or right click on the parameter cell. Now you can select the attribute from the list or search for it, or you can also filter by attribute group. If you want to add a fine channel, they are sometimes described as low channel in user manuals, select the Fine button. The list changes now to only show you attributes that you have already used for your coarse or high channels. Let's add a coarse dimmer channel. Now all the other cells will get typical default values for this parameter. Let's save the edit that we just made to this fixture by clicking on OK. Let's create our own library from scratch. To do so, we head over to the user library click on the magic wand button and the Add Fixture button. Now we can choose the manufacturer from the drop-down list. Now we can enter the type name either by using a USB keyboard or by clicking on the keyboard button. In my case, I will use a USB keyboard. You can also add a short type and a mode. A mode is useful to distinguish between different operating modes of fixtures. Alternatively, you may also use an existing fixture as a template by clicking on Use Existing Fixture as Template. In this case, we'll create a new fixture from scratch. When we're done with the settings, we click on the Next button. Now we have to enter the channel count of the fixture. In this case, my imaginary fixture has 12 channels. When done, I click on Create. We see the familiar library editor already. Let's start by adding pan and tilt channels. You can either double-click into the cell and select pan, then clicking into the second channel, selecting fine and pan, or you can simply select both channels, double-click or right-click, and select an attribute. Now when you click on OK, coarse and fine channels are automatically added. If you would like to reorder channels, you can simply drag and drop them to their new place. Channels 5, 6 and 7 will be red, green and blue. Let's look for the green channel using the full text search. Full text search and the filters can also be combined. If this fixture doesn't have a real dimmer channel, you can add a virtual dimmer after adding red, green and blue parameters by clicking on the virtual dimmer button. In this case, we will add a real dimmer channel. Now let's add a gobo channel. Let's add a gobo rotation channel. Let's add an iris channel to the fixture. And last but not least, we will add a shutter channel to this fixture. Now that we have our basic fixture layout ready, let's look at the other columns in the editor. The next column after the parameter is called dimmable. Dimmable defines whether this attribute is reacting to a master fader like a group master fader, or if this attribute will react to the grandmaster. Typically, the only attribute that should react is the dimmer. The next column defines if this channel will be fading or snapping. The difference between fading and snapping is that, for example, gobo channels are set to snap because a crossfade in here doesn't really make any sense. However, this setting can be changed to your liking. The next column contains the default value. The default value will be output if no parameter value has been set in the programmer or by playbacks. For RGB fixtures, I like to have the default at 255. This info is usually provided in the user manual of the lighting fixture you're creating. The next column is the blackout value. The blackout value will be set whenever the grandmaster fader reaches 0. Usually this is only being defined for red, green, blue channels, so additive color mixing systems and dimmer channel. However, it can be useful, as it does here by default, to define it for a shutter in case the dimmer of the fixture reacts very slowly. The next column is the highlight value. The highlight value will be output whenever this fixture is selected and the highlight function is active. Usually these values should set the fixture to an open white beam, without gobos and with the iris being full open. The next column is the MIB type. The MIB type defines if this parameter should be moved in black, and if so, if it should use a time or if it should do it in 0 time. So whenever the MIB type is set to mark, this parameter will be moved in black if activated for a queue list, and whenever the parameter is set to mark 0, this parameter will move in 0 time. You can also opt in to disable that. You can change the value by repeatedly double-clicking into the MIB type cell. Ranges are really powerful because you have the option to define names for certain DMX values, even an icon or a color that will be displayed throughout the console. Let's create a few ranges for gobos, including gobo icons. To do so, let's double-click on the ranges cell for the gobo channel. Now in here we have the option to add one range, multiple ranges, or delete ranges. As a gobo channel is likely to have multiple ranges, let's add multiple. In this dialog you have the option to define the ranges by count or by size per range. In this case, let's define them by count. You specify the minimum DMX value that you would like your ranges to start at, as well as the maximum DMX value. You also specify a count. Let's set the count to 6. This would mean our fixture probably has an open position and 5 gobos. You can also get this information from the user manual of the manufacturer of the light. Let's click on Enter. We will see a rough preview on the right. Let's click on Create. You can see we have 6 ranges now, all with their values automatically being calculated. However, the representation column is still empty. Let's start adding names and icons for these gobos. Let's double click for range number 1. Now we can enter a name. In this case, we would like to name it Open. As a representation, we can choose an icon, a single color, or a dual color. Let's choose an icon. The console will now show you a list of all icons. In here, for Open, let's select this one. Let's repeat this step for the other ranges. Let's imagine the second gobo is called Dots. So we click on the icon button again. We look for a gobo that looks like the one that the fixture has, and we click on OK. We repeat these steps until we're done. When we're done assigning the ranges, we simply click on OK. Now you can see that the gobo row shows yes in the ranges field. The next column specifies if the output of this DMX channel should be inverted. So if 0 should be output as 100% and if 100% should be output as 0, and obviously vice versa for everything in between. Also, we can specify DMX minimum and maximum values. Please note that the values in here by default are displayed in 8-bit decimal annotation. You can display them at 16-bit decimal values by pressing the Shift button at any time. Once we're done, we simply click on OK. Now the console asks if we want to save this fixture. We confirm by clicking on Yes. Now, from within the patch, we can simply use this fixture. Whenever we select this fixture now, as we define the gobo icon in the ranges, they are also shown in the preview of the fixture. Also, when we head to the Values tab and double-click on the gobo column, we can now pick the images in the dialog window that pops up. As explained in the previous tutorial, you can easily update the factory library from within the Setup menu, System Settings tab. This can either be done by USB or by connecting your console to the internet. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope you keep watching the other tutorials. See you soon.